Hello everyone, Mike Ditas here, commercial real estate broker with Go Florida Commercial, helping you buy, sell, and lease commercial real estate here in Central Florida. Today, I'm here with Bryan Fifer, owner and operator of Bryan Fifer State Farm Insurance, and Tara Zele, who's the Director of Operations and Customer Service with Bryan. Bryan has been with State Farm since 2007 and has had his own agency for over 8 years. Bryan and Tara are passionate about working with their customers, protecting their assets and their income. Bryan, Tara, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So today, I really wanted to talk about business operations and some insurance questions. Bryan, could you tell us some of the key differences when you're insuring residential property versus commercial property?
Sure. When you own a residential property, you need to insure it for the home that you're living in. You're going to have some risk associated with that because you might have people over, somebody could get hurt on your property, so you have liability. And you're insuring the building itself because that's your primary home. If there was a hurricane, a fire, any kind of damage, you need to have money inside the policy to be able to rebuild the home itself. And then you're also going to have all your personal property. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that actually transfers over to a business policy or commercial policy. So for many people, if you own a business, you still need the liability. Somebody could get hurt in your business or because of your business. You're still going to need to have contents. So most businesses, they have furniture, they have electronics, they have a lot of things that go into that building. As you know, a lot of times if somebody is purchasing a new construction and they're going to have to go in and also do tenant improvements.
Sure.
So if they're going to spend $100,000 building out that gray shell, we also need to make sure there's enough money inside the policy to be able to build that out for them again if there was a major claim. And then, of course, they're also going to have the contents for all their personal property. Like I said, that's really a big deal. If somebody broke in and stole those items, or if there was a hurricane, anything was damaged, if there was a flood inside of their unit, there needs to be some special insurance. But the big key is just you need to communicate with your agent and let them know how you're using the property. So if it's truly a business use, you need to make sure you have a business policy, because if you had a claim and it was found out at that time, you might not have coverage.
Very good. Bryan, general liability insurance is something every business owner needs to understand. It's important. What are some key facts to general liability insurance?
So you're right. General liability is the foundation of every business insurance policy.
Sure.
Every business that's out there has risk, and you have to manage that risk. And that could be from the products that you develop to the services that you provide. If somebody feels like they're financially harmed by that, whether it's bodily injury or maybe the advice that you gave wasn't as good as they thought it should be and it caused them some kind of financial harm, the general liability policy is your base policy that everything's going to come back to. That's what's protecting you for everything that you built. And as you know, a lot of the business owners, this is their business, this is their livelihood.
Yes.
So if there's a lawsuit, not only does it affect their business, it also affects them personally.
Absolutely.
So making sure that they have general liability is really like a non-negotiable.
And enough coverage, obviously, to cover this.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Most businesses start with $1 million of general liability, which sounds like a lot, but you could obviously have a pretty large lawsuit.
Sure.
And it's going to go up from there based on the amount of traffic that you have in your business. You know, just what's your exposure?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're producing food items, a lot of times you want more than that because there's a greater risk that somebody could get sick or, you know, food contamination, for example.
Of course.
As an insurance agent like myself, I have the risk of people coming in my business that could get hurt, but it's really limited. My team is sitting at a desk. Like there's not as much risk for liability.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tara, in business, standing out is so important. What are some things you do here to get this business to stand out versus similar businesses?
To stand out, I believe that you need to be personable and memorable.
Oh.
So to separate ourselves, we have a great customer service department.
Mm-hmm.
We believe in connecting with our customers, making sure that they know that they are people that are our neighbors and our friends. So we want to be there for them, for their families, for their friends, and just as if, you know, they are our neighbors right next door.
Brian, let's talk about auto insurance. Many business owners use their personal vehicle for their business.
Right.
What type of coverage might they need when they do this? Or maybe they should have their own policy.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, Mike. So a lot of people think because they have auto insurance, that's all they need, whether they use that for personal or business. But again, if you're using your you're using your vehicle in the course of business, you do need to have a commercial auto insurance policy. Now, that doesn't translate to more expensive, right? You just need to communicate that. So for example, we have customers that drive for Uber, right? So that's a very small business, but we still have to add an endorsement on the policy
Of course.
that's going to cover them while they have passengers, because a private auto insurance policy does not cover you for transporting passengers like a taxi. Now, other businesses might just use their vehicle because they're in construction and they travel from job site to job site checking on the projects. That's, again, fine. It doesn't add any additional premium, but we just have to add an endorsement on the policy to make sure that that's covered. To the extreme, you might have somebody that's actually using the vehicle in the business, for example, a food truck, or maybe it's a pickup truck, but it tows a food truck. We definitely have to know that. That exposes us to a lot more liability. We need to account for that. We'll also have to give certificates of insurance, a lot of times to different events or different vendors that they're using. And that just shows that they do have the right insurance policy that's going to protect that vendor in case of an accident.
Yeah. Derek, in business, keeping the team together, employee retention is so important. What are some things you do in order to keep your team together?
Retention is about having a great culture. We have an amazing team of 13 of us, and I really do believe it starts from the top down.
Sure.
Allowing the team to get together, to do fun things outside of the office, like going to a hockey game. We've done things like going to Epcot to go drink around the world or have some fun around the world. And then just, we work really hard. We work hard, we play hard. We have a little bit of mini golf there in the office.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, it starts from top down, from having a leader that's amazing and invests in our employees. It makes our employees happy employees, which makes them work harder.
Brian, what is an umbrella policy, and when would someone need to add that to their coverage?
Yeah. So in the simplest term, an umbrella policy is a second layer of insurance against lawsuits. Okay. So again, as we talked about, a general liability is your base policy, and that's going to provide at least $1 million of coverage. But what happens if somebody gets hurt on your property or tries to sue you and it's more than $1 million? The umbrella policy steps in at that point and will start to pay any of your legal fees and any kind of settlement above and beyond what your general liability policy has. Another thing that's important is to look at your lease to see if that's required. There are a lot of landlords that will require you to not only carry a general liability, but also carry a business auto insurance policy. They'll also require you to have an umbrella policy. And sometimes those limits can be pretty excessive, like $5 or $10 million, depending on the type of business that you're insuring. But again, it is very important to read your lease, to know what you need legally, but also have a real estate and an insurance broker that you're working with that's going to advise you based on your business, what your exposure is, and what's the cost to protect that full exposure.
Jared, one thing about managing an office is managing the brand. What are some things you do in order to get the word out about what it is you do here, and when are you guys open?
Well, it's very important for us to be the community resource, a community trusted resource here in Winter Garden area. So we do a lot of activities and events within the communities. We volunteer for events and give back to our community as much as we possibly can. We network within the chambers and other small local groups right here where we live, work, and play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about connecting one-on-one on personal levels. One of the things we are involved in is the Horizon West Rotary Club. We love to be involved in that. Bryan has been the past president, and still runs golf tournaments for that and other activities for the Rotary Club. It helps some of our local schools. It's a fantastic organization for us to be involved in.
Brian, Tara, I really want to thank you for having me out here today. If someone wanted to learn more about the Bryan Fifer State Farm Insurance Agency, what's the best way for someone to do that?
Well, thank you, Mike. We appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and getting to know you a little bit deeper. If anybody would love to work with me, my agency, my team, best thing to do is just go ahead and reach out to us by phone or on our website. They can go to bryanfifer.com. There's a form at the bottom where they can fill out some information, and that comes right to us that we can reach out to them. They can actually attach their insurance documents right there if they want us to review. Speaking of reviews, go to Google, just put our name in there. You'll be able to read all the different Google reviews. Those are one-on-one testimonials from our customers. You'll really get a feel for our office by not only reading the reviews, but also seeing the pictures on there.
And when we say Bryan, you say Fifer.
Fifer. Well, thanks so much, guys. And I really want to thank the good folks over at Splash Social Marketing for putting on this video series. They help businesses of all sizes with their social media, their marketing, their website. They can be reached at splashsocialmarketing.com. Again, I'm Mike Gaitis, commercial real estate broker with Go Florida Commercial. Thank you.